What's up, guys? Brad here, and today I'm with Triple Bravo, and we're going to be doing a tier list for the starter cards plus the Pool 1 cards in Marvel Snap. Thought it would be something fun. I got him to jump into the game, and he's just getting through Pool 1 now, so he's got the experience with those cards, so we're going to be doing that. Once he gets through Pool 2, we'll be doing those cards, and then Pool 3 is going to take forever, even for myself as well. So that we might just do a couple of those cards blind and just reaction based on reading them, how they feel. Because it's literally going to probably take months to get those cards. But anyways, enough rant. Let's jump right into it. We'll explain every card. I know this is the best I could do for cutting them out. So we're going to go, I think it's basically in alphabetical order. So Abomination is going to be first. So I'll just put them in the middle to start. What do we feel for Abomination? 5 cost, 8 power, vanilla, no text.
I think he's terrible. I think there's other cards that are the same cost, same power with more potential.
Yep, that's
That's just what it be.
that's pretty much true. Here is the only thing I'm going to say of why I don't think he goes at the bottom in D. I think he goes in C just because um, you can actually play him, and later on there's a card that can buff up the neutral guys. So like there is possibly something that could happen, but in
Mm-hmm.
reality, I mean, I basically think he's all right. He's in D. He's top D. He's top D. That's what we're gonna say.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like that's pretty fair.
I
So
like the argument for C, but
yeah,
it's
I'm
like yeah.
I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, all right, there's probably gonna be a decent amount of cards that are at the bottom. It's probably gonna be spread out pretty well, and he's probably the top of D. Let's be honest. I don't think he makes C. All right,
Mm.
American Chavez. 6 cost, 9 power. So she actually got nerfed. She was a 10 power before. I don't know if you were playing at that point,
I
but
was not.
basically, when you put this card in your deck, she draws every time exactly on turn 6, unless she gets discarded by a Yandu or something like that. But other than that, she literally always gets drawn on turn 6. How do you feel about this card?
I think she's super powerful, very reliable very good to have a reliable, powerful card come in. And I think the balance is it's pretty much there. Uh, with the 9 cost, I think she's probably a little overtuned, but that's just from the cards that I know. She probably balances out whenever you get access to the other cards. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean she's pretty easily countered. I do it all the time, where I just save the Yondu for turn 5 just in case, and throw him out there and slice their power card
Mm-hmm.
coming in the next round. But she's a great card.
So it's hard for me to judge because it's been a while since I was back in like just pool 1 area where you're just starting to see pool 2 cards. And here's the thing. Even so, from stats on a the website that we utilized, SnapFan, if I don't know how accurate they are, but based on their stats, she's like in the top 5 cards most played. So, and like has a pretty good percentage. Part of the reason, and I was kind of seeing how you felt about her because I wasn't sure. I know you don't play card games like as much as I do, so I was
I
curious.
do not.
The big thing with this card, more than anything, is the fact that your deck is thinner the entire time, and you're guaranteed to draw her. So you're basically playing with an 11 card deck, knowing on turn 6 you're drawing her, which it like you said exactly afterwards, she is pretty powerful. Guaranteed 9 power. It's definitely a solid card. Because of all of that, honestly, I think she's like S tier. I think she's like a top, like especially in pool 1, she is one of, if not maybe the best uh card in this pool. How do you feel about that?
I think she's A for sure. I'm not sure if I'm sold on the S. Maybe just because of her reliable nature, she's S.
Yeah, like I said, it's mainly because um, deck thinning is a very important feature in a game. There is a
Yeah.
card which we'll get to soon. It just makes your combos and whatnot more reliable. But I've actually noticed myself stop playing with her a little bit less. More of just in pool one, I think, is why she's like S tier. So
For pool one, I'll agree with you. She's
yeah.
probably S.
All right, we'll go on to Angela. 2 cost, 1 power, and after you play a card here, so at the location that you play her, she gets +2 power. Um,
Hmm.
I like this card also with Nightcrawler because you can play, you play her, then you play 3 cards, one of them being Nightcrawler. Then you can move Nightcrawler and play another card and get that extra +2 power in that location, which
Yep.
um, possibly could be overkill or not, but um, I don't know. She's definitely one of the more played cards. I think she's pretty solid. How about you?
I think she's A tier.
Yep, that's what I was thinking as well. I'm thinking she's a, I don't think she's into the S just yet, but all right. So
Mhm.
we're gonna jump into Angel now, which this is actually the card that I wanted to kind of talk about, I guess, with you. So I was talking about deck thing being important, and the reason American Chavez is better than Angel is because Angel you could draw any moment, right?
Right.
So the problem is if you don't have the destruction cards or um, in your hand, or if you just draw Angel, then it just becomes a 1 cost 2 power to do nothing.
Yeah.
Now, if it's in your deck and you don't, and you play Carnage, it's very good. But overall, I think it's like maybe I'm honestly thinking it's like C tier. Um, I look at it more as a 1 cost 2 power. Like I don't reliably look at this card very well. That's
Yeah,
just
I
me.
put Angel in the C tier. If they were to tweak this card to fly out of any location, or well, I guess deck or hand, I
Yeah,
think he'd be I think he'd be much more valuable. But it's a shame whenever you get him, drawn and you're like, ah man, like gonna use that carnage or whatever. Like it's just no
I
bueno.
agree. I would like to see this be from hand as well. I think that would be a pretty big change. So, anyways, next we have Apocalypse. So 6 cost, 8 power. When you discard this from your hand, put it back with +4 power. So you can get pretty beefy. You've been playing it all with Apocalypse?
I do. I have a destruction deck where I just try to focus on the discard and destruction cards, and he's in there, and I've beefed him up to 18, 16, 18 pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
um I'll just come out and say I think he's probably B tier just because it's a pretty special, like you have to build the entire deck around that card.
Yeah.
um,
So the reason I think he's also a B as well, is he's just worse than American Chavez. If you think about it, like you have to have this card in your hand, you have to discard it at least once to be worth more than American Chavez, and you're guaranteed to have her on 6. So, um,
yeah.
just because of that, it makes me think Apocalypse is in B as well. Now
Yeah,
we've
and like we're
oh,
like building a special deck to discard cards, also has a negative effect where, there's other cards that like Swordmaster or something that, you
mhm.
know, can discard cards or destroy cards, but not guaranteed to be Apocalypse. So like there's not very many cards out there that will specifically, like Lady Sif, go out and chop this guy in half and increase his power. So it's pretty specific
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah, I've noticed being later in I'm in pool 3, and I've noticed myself like when I play a discard thing, I usually cut him and I end up playing just other cards with Lady Sif instead. Um so I feel like that just kind of just now we are trying to just judge this based on pool 1 cards and starter ones, not
Right.
later stuff because that, you know, we don't know all the cards either. Like I don't know them all either. So,
Yeah.
anyways, we'll next up is armor. 2 cost, 3 power with ongoing cards at this location can't be destroyed. Um, so a card. So this is where it becomes tough for me to not judge it based on outside pools. Is I feel like this card isn't as good in pool one. Like it's mainly used as a counter tool to play against Carnage and Deathlock. Um, at least I think so. I'm trying to see. Yep, Deathlock's in there. All right, I had to make sure Deathlock was in pool one. Basically, if you're playing like some destroy style with Deathlock, Carnage, and maybe you've got Nova in there as well. I think that's the only way. Back before they nerfed Nova, Nova used to give +2 power to everybody on the board, attack, excuse me, and it was insane. I mean, it was just straight up
That's a
better.
lot.
Yeah, it was just a 1 cost blue marvel. It was insane. I don't really know what their mentality was in that, but they did it. So, um, I kind of think armor is honestly, I think it's like a B also. And the reason I think that it gets a B is because I think one of the better decks in pool one is an ongoing spectrum deck where you just play all the ongoing cards that you could possibly have, spectrum, and then you throw in like basically a lot of like 1 cost cards because Kazar is pretty good as well. Anyways, yeah, so I think B. What are you feeling?
I feel C, but I'm not gonna fight you over it. I think it's probably
It's right
fair.
on that alley, honestly. It's
Bottom of
like
B.
yeah, I feel like it's bottom of B, honestly. That's probably what I would say. Um yeah, well I guess we'll try to organize this actually. Alright, Bishop is a 3 cost 2 power when you play a card. This gains +1 power. And yeah, Bishop's pretty nutty early on. I don't know what you think.
I think he's A tier. Um, I think he's a little too like he's mid game, right? Mid game card. So you got to he's not going to be as beefy as what he could be. I guess is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Like if he was like a lower cost card, he would be like A tier, S tier. Uh, I don't know. He's probably still A tier, top
I'm
of B.
I'm thinking A as well. Just because mainly when you play Bishop, um, okay, so my buddy plays a very aggressive deck, I would say, where
Hmm.
his highest card is 3. He doesn't play uh anything higher than that. He doesn't play
Oh, so
Kazar.
he like waits
So
until the end.
he holds his cards until turn 3, and if he has Bishop, he plays Bishop on 3, and then he dumps like 6 1 cost cards on turn 6. He does stuff
I
like
want to
that.
try that. I want to try that.
Yeah, and I'm on. He like wins a pretty decent amount. Now he's about the same rank as you, so people listening in, if you're like pool 3 and you think that's terrible ideas, remember, it's early, it's
Yeah.
earlier on, but it's
Let me just pop her open. My current rank is 34,
mhm. What's your
and
collection level though?
my collection level
Yeah.
243.
Okay, so you're literally 1 level away from being in. No, you're 1 level till you pool 4. Yeah, so
Pool
because I think it's
4?
240. No, pool 2. Jeez, I said 4 because I heard because I was thinking
I
of
was like,
244.
yeah. 2 days ago, I pretty much knew the exact game where the game was like, "You're no longer sheltered,"
Mm-hmm.
like because it was just like that game. A guy whipped out like 3 cards I've never seen before and destroyed me in ways I never knew I was gonna die. And then like every game after that, every other game is just like, here's some new cards for you. Enjoy that."
Yep.
And
Oh yeah, they
uh,
what I had the same experience except it was a little different when I played. I feel like they got better with matchmaking than when I started. So Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl were 3 cost cards back in the day, and when the game first launched, and it was so oppressive that if you didn't have if you didn't have either Carnage Nova or Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur, you essentially were just feeding these people that had those cards until you unlock them yourselves. It kind of sucked, but it's wild. So, anyways, getting on to a rant. So
Yeah.
I'm saying A. I feel like it's better than Angela as well. I think it's
Oh yeah, he receives global buffs and Angela doesn't. You know, like it's
yeah
still pretty easy to proc her, but you are committed. You're uh, telegraphing to the other guy like, hey, I plan on throwing some cards down right here
yeah yeah
at this
exactly.
location. So that right there. Like even if Bishop like got uh or if they had like similar power scaling, like Bishop would win just because of the global.
Yep, I agree. So, all right. Next we are going to Blade. 1 cost, 3 power. On reveal is discard a card from your hand, so it goes into your discard decks with Apocalypse. So why not in pool one? Um, Kind of indifferent about this card. I feel like it's like yeah. I feel like it's like I feel like it's literally B or C because it's just a 1 cost, 3 power. Like
Mm.
technically, for a 1 cost early on, it is pretty decent. Because I look at if you can get a 1 cost 3, that's what your goal is. 1 cost 2 power is roughly, it's got to have like a pretty good upside,
Hmm.
some decent effect. And I don't love the discard stuff myself. I kind of am leaning more towards putting in C here. It's better than Angel, but
Hmm.
what do you
All
think?
right. So here's our first big difference. I think he is a D tier. And maybe it's just because I care about my cards, but he's in my destroyer deck that I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Just because, and you throw him down, and then your eyes go big, and you're like, please, 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 and then he's like, ah, and no,
I,
wrong card.
I'm gonna
I think he,
I'm
I
gonna
think
agree
he's
with you.
terrible.
I'm gonna agree with you because here's the thing. It is nice when you just have a 1 cost 3. Basically, it's nice if you're doing what my buddy's doing, where you have like a lot of 1 cost cards, and on turn 6 you're like, here's everything in my hand, and it doesn't matter what he hits because you don't have anything in your hand. It's turn 6 or something. But realistically, I'm gonna I'm gonna join you on that. I'm gonna say
Yeah, I
I
will
think it's pretty
say
bad.
it's interesting to think about the game kind of in the flip side because like I all my decks pretty much like I know what my turn 5 6 cards are going to be like if they're in my hand here's 5 6 here's 6 you know like so I like the
Yeah.
idea of being able to play it on the back end where Blade comes in at the last second gives you an extra 3 power. You're like, oh boy, some stuff's happened. But
So
that's a specific kind of deck to play,
yeah,
so I'm just not a fan of uh, of of Blade. And I will say, clip me on this, but I guarantee you, Blade is going to be one of the cards that suffers the most over time, because you're going to get as we get more cards released, there's going to be a 1 cost 3 power card that probably doesn't have any abilities that just gets played. Like he's going to be some special card that everybody, the character that everybody loves, and it's going to make Blade completely useless.
yeah. I
So
feel
we'll
like
see.
when you get further along, the discard doesn't become discard like everything. There are some people that play the discard everything in your hand style because there's um there's a couple cards that you haven't seen yet. Like there's a card called Swarm. When you discard it, it becomes 0 cost and it doubles. So it's like
Oh,
it
interesting.
was a 2 cost 3 power, and when you discard it, it then becomes 2 0 cost 3 power cards in your hand. So then you can kind of keep doing it. But it was a pretty good deck for a while. I haven't seen it very often now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a couple things also that get buffed with it, but honestly, I don't feel like they're as strong as other decks out there. So yeah, I agree. I don't see him very often now. But anyways, we got ranted on him. Let's talk about Cable. Two cost, two power, and on reveal, put the bottom card of your opponent's deck into your hand. What do you feel?
I
Curious.
think he's S tier.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You really think he's S tier?
Yeah, I do.
Wow. Give me
For for pool one, Cable is S tier because in a game of 12 cards, to be able to take a card from the enemy and have the potential to play that card to your own benefit. So you're increasing your hand size. Like for me, I always feel like, man, I need to be able to draw more cards. I think he's S tier for pool one.
so going off of the drawing cards thing, right? It is very rare. There's not a lot of cards that draw cards. I honestly haven't. I do not own a card still, and my collection level is like 1,215, I believe. And I don't own a single card that draws a card from my deck, not from an opponent's deck. Obviously, Cable.
Oh,
Obviously, Cable draws a card for us, but I do have a card that makes my opponent draw two cards.
yeah. I guess the closest you get is Angel, where if if the cards align correctly, the heart of the cards, Angel will fly out when you
Yeah,
destroy something.
yeah.
That's about as close
Technically,
as you get.
um, so I this is the biggest difference between you and I. I think it will be probably the entire night. I think Cable is a C, if not D tier,
Bring it.
because it's two cost, two power. You're making them draw a card. Okay, how often, if ever, have you drawn a card from like? Have you ever drawn your entire deck and you've not had a card from your deck, right? Because my initial thought was exactly the same as yours when I first started. I was like, this is going to be sick. I'm going to make them discard by playing Yandu, Cable, doing all of this stuff that makes their deck smaller and like try to take out combo pieces for them or anything powerful. But in reality, you're pulling the bottom card. They would have never seen that card no matter what, right?
Right, but you get that card.
Yes, you're
So
getting that card. Now, it's kind of a gamble, but you're sacrificing a location and playing a two cost two power, which to me isn't amazing, right? It
I
it's
yeah, I think he like in my mind, the actual card itself breaks even, right? Two cost, two power, okay, here you go. Sacrifice it. What do we get? So it's a two cost, two power, but it actually can turn into a lot more power for you in the long run. And how often do you fill all your locations?
um it depends on what I'm playing, obviously.
Yeah, it's true. I
Um
mean, if you've got a low cost deck,
yeah, it definitely
but
depends. I This is what I will say about it. I feel like if I were to play I feel like I would rather play armor than cable. Just because I built my deck a certain way, right? So I have like it's uh it's a mentality thing, right? Like so you build your deck a certain way, they built their deck. Their deck does not synergize with your deck most likely, right?
hmm
So for example, if you have just like a say you got like a perfect like a curve deck, right? Like it's you got two one cost, two two, three, four, five, six, right? And you're trying to just play one card each turn and win that way or something. And then you pull Blade, right? I mean, he doesn't do anything for you. Or you pull even. I mean, if you pull like any of the discard cards, right? If you're playing against a discard, it just doesn't synergize with your deck as well. That's all. I feel like the goal is to play something that synergizes with you. Now, yes, you can high roll and you could pull like a Hulk or something, and then be like, "Oh wow, I didn't have this." But you can only play one six cost card anyways,
right.
right? So until later on. So I just feel like it's very high rolly if you're going to. The best I will give this thing is low B, essentially. How
Well,
do you
give it
feel?
whatever you think. My opinion is that of the little guy on your shoulder, pretty much.
I'm curious of what you say. I'll give it low B for you. How about that?
Okay.
Because I
So
would probably put it in C. But
yeah.
I'll give it B for you because you like the
I mean,
card.
I mean, you said you had the same opinion as me whenever you first started. So
I did
maybe,
exactly.
maybe pool two we revisit and you're like, oh yeah, cable garbage.
So part of it is like I said, I was I'm infatuated with disruption in this game for some reason, and a lot of games, I guess. My favorite thing is to disrupt combos and mess with the opponent more so than like I don't know, even like winning in general. Of course, I want to win, but like I think it's funnier if I win with a disruption thing, even if my deck's worse because of it.
Hmm.
So, anyways, got ranted there. We'll move on to Captain America. So 3 cost, 3 power, ongoing. Your other cards at this location have +1 power. Go for it.
I'm trying to find him in my list. I think I put him in a Bravo. Yeah, I put him in a B tier.
Okay.
Um, he's uh he's a mid-level card, right? Like you're clearly you're he's a three cost, so you're probably not telegraphing exactly like what you're going to do, but you're probably going to try to fill that location, so there's a little bit of
Yep.
information given up. And but he's still a good card.
Yep.
Uh,
So I like to judge the cards based on other things as well. So look at which we'll get to it later on, like Mr. Fantastic, right? 3 cost, 2 power, but gives 2 to the other locations as well. So essentially, as long as you play him in the middle, he's a 3 cost, 6 power card, right? So Captain America is essentially the same thing. 3 cost, 6 power at the same location. Punisher, also the same thing. As long as the opponent plays 4 cards across from you, 3 cost, 6 power. I feel
yep,
like all of those are very fair.
yeah,
And I'd put them like honestly, I'd put them ahead of. I don't really like this, and
yeah.
I'm I'm there for Cable.
And when
Cable's
I
going down to C.
when I did my when I did my list, I just went ahead and grabbed all those cards. Uh, Punisher, Captain America. Let me look here. Um,
Which we'll get to those. Obviously, we'll
yeah.
talk about a little more. But
Anyways,
all right, yeah. So next up, Carnage, 2 cost, 2 power. On reveal, destroy your other cards here, and you get +2 power for each destroyed. Uh, you, I know you said you have like a disruption, destroy kind of deck, right? So I'm guessing this guy's in there.
yeah. In that deck, he's A tier. He's like a core part of that deck. In
Mhm.
a normal deck, I still think he's B tier, only because there's a lot of times where you get equal or more value, or you can get equal or more value out of the cards you're destroying. Right? If you kill a 1/1, or like you throw in a 3 cost 0 power card that buffs other cards or something, you can eat them and get
Yep.
even more value. Like there's a lot of instances, or like if one of the locations spawns some squirrels and you throw down Quicksilver. Well, Quicksilver is a 1 cost 2 power card. You're not losing anything, and you're gaining more space at that location. So
Yep. Yeah, there's times where it could be negative. There's times that it could be positive. I don't know how often people play Spider Woman down at your level, like at pool
hmm
one, pool two. Obviously, if you see like Spider Woman a lot or something, like any negative effects, it becomes better because it's only hitting 1 card instead of all of them. I
yeah,
have a lot of trouble, honestly, not giving this card an S tier because I think that's how good he is. He's like very versatile and very good.
hmm
Like very good. Um he's like right on that cusp though. Um Basically AS right around there. I don't know
yeah.
if I give him a I'm trying to debate here.
Let's put him top of A. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll do that. We'll do that. All right, we'll go on to Cosmo. 3 cost 3 cost, 3 power, ongoing. on reveal abilities won't happen at this location. Uh, this used to be a very useful card when people were running the Nova stuff. And
Hmm.
also, this was kind of like a good card to play with Devil Dinosaur because you'd play this and then people can't Enchantress the Devil Dinosaur. So it was like a little combo you could have to guarantee that you have that location.
Yep.
I feel like he's just a tech card though. Like you're only playing him if you're specifically trying to play against something, or you're playing that Devil Dinosaur little combo, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I'd say B or C.
Yeah, I put him in B because he's just like your average card, depending on what other cards you have in your deck. He's he probably has a place to be useful, but there's other cards that I would rather have.
Yeah,
So yeah, maybe he's a C. Maybe he's a C
yeah.
because of that.
I feel like he's just a tech card. I'm
Yeah,
gonna I'm gonna
he's
go
not.
with C for that.
Yeah, he's not making it into my deck because I have a lot of. I like to use the abilities and powers. So,
Yep.
throwing him in my own deck would probably hinder me as well.
Yeah. So this is we're going on to Cyclops now, and Cyclops is just 3 cost, 4 power, has no text, just like a normal card. So a lot of the normal cards is them showing you the baseline for what the power should be at that level, right? So they're not meant to be played like very viably. It's just showing you like, hey, roughly you want a 3 cost of 4 power. So if you can get something 3 cost 4 power with an ability, then it's probably pretty good.
Right.
It's at least decent, right? So Cyclops obviously isn't very good. I mean, I feel like he's worse than Abomination. um,
Yeah.
so there's honestly not much to say about the cards that don't have a ton of text because they just don't really do much.
Yeah, I feel like what you said is so true. That they're just a baseline, and as the baseline, the foundation for the power level of all the other cards, they're at the bottom.
Yeah, they're essentially just showing you like, hey, this is what a 3 cost card does. It's got 4 power, and then oh, we'll reduce it by 1 power and give it an ability.
That makes it 6 power.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, Cosmos ability is obviously worth a pretty good amount if you utilize it against your opponent. So,
Hmm.
anyways, we've got Deathlock next. 3 cost, 5 power. With on reveal, destroy your other cards at this location. So another destroy card works well with like Nova and whatnot. There's other cards that you'll see later on that are in pool two, I believe. Yeah, pool two, which is when I'm gonna be honest, when you'll see Carnage really shine, which is why I'm like that card. I feel like is S tier, but in just pool one, I don't think it is. When
Hmm.
you're looking at pool one by itself without the other cards. Um, so yeah, Death Deathlock. I feel like it's pretty good. I don't feel like it's as good as Carnage though.
Yeah, I consider Deathlock a C tier, uh, top of C tier because for once half the game has happened, let's say, he may hinder you more than he helps you.
Yep.
Um, and after that half of the game, you get to round 4 or 5. If you draw him, it's a lost card because you probably have the locations already set up, so you're going to be losing power. It's just not worth it in a lot of decks. There are clearly decks you can build that are useful, so he's not a D tier. Uh, and in those instances, he would probably be like a core like filler portion of a destruction deck or something, so he'd be a B, but I think he's C.
Yeah, I think if you're obviously building a deck around him, you're using like armor and you got Nova, which you want to kill. Um, but it's tough, yeah, because like when you do get to the later game, unless you're specifically saving like one location to not have, like to not have like cards played there, so you could play Deathlock without having the negative effect. It's kind of a gamble. So yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I'll say it's like top of C. I do know
Hmm.
he's more powerful than this later on, but yeah, right now he definitely pool one doesn't have as good of a benefit, I guess. Next we have Devil Dinosaur. Talked about him a couple times now. 4 cost, 0 power. Ongoing is +2 power for each card in your hand. So you want to generate the cards. This does work very well with the cards like Cable, Mantis, White Queen, and anything else that adds cards to your hand. Obviously, Moon Girl as well.
Yep.
Um, the card was so good it obviously was nerfed, and I think the card is still pretty darn good. I don't know how it is actually. I actually haven't played it since it was nerfed. So yeah,
Yeah, I think he's top of A tier.
I will agree with you because I have seen him and he has kicked my butt a couple times. So I know he's
Yep.
definitely playable. So
For his cost, it's easy to still have those cards in your hand naturally to break
mm,
even.
yeah,
So even halfway attempting, you can like literally balance a location to win off of the Devil Dinosaur if you don't want to lose cards in your hand.
yeah,
So
yeah. So we're gonna move to our first actually movement card, which is Doctor Strange. 3 cost, 3 power. On reveal, move your highest power card to this location. Um, like the movement style decks are pretty tricky. I don't know if you've messed around with them too much. Um,
I
they
haven't.
yeah, they're pretty. They're like a big like brain puzzle. It's like real
Yeah,
tricky. You start thinking about it, and you're like, I'm gonna I'm gonna lose the game just because I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah. That's pretty much why I haven't messed with him too much. I've gotten schooled by a Heimdall before, where I was like,
Yeah,
"What is this
Heimdall.
guy doing?" And then
Yeah,
he whips out the Heimdall, and I'm like, "Oh God."
yeah. The Heimdall is definitely great.
Yeah,
So, I think the card is like C tier. Um, I'm gonna say it's like right around here. I don't know. It's in C
yeah,
tier though because to me it's very niche, and if you're not playing, like you basically only want to move very specific cards, and I think most of them aren't even in pool one. The only one that I can think of is Multiple Man,
yeah,
and you're gonna want to buff him up before you like move him. So you got to play like Multiple Man into Hulkbuster into the
yeah. And if Multiple Man is your strongest card, whenever you play Doctor Strange, you might have other issues.
yeah, I won. That is true. So, but like I said, if you do the Hulkbuster, I mean that is 7 power on 2 locations. It's not terrible, but it's kind of niche. So, next we've got Domino. Domino is 2 cost, 3 power. You always draw this card on turn 2 and not before. Very similar to Americ Chavez, and Quicksilver, which we'll get to at some point. But yeah, I want to hear what you think about this.
I think she's B tier. She's got utility. She's not terribly uh powered, 2-3, not bad. Uh I don't know what a baseline 2 cost card would be, but I feel like it's a 3 power.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just more predictable for the power that you get. So she's pretty good. Like if you needed a filler card in at a lower power, that's or at a lower cost, that's the one that I would go for because you just know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, uh,
yeah,
not to cut you off, I was just gonna
you're good.
say, Shocker is essentially the baseline, right? 'Cause 2 cost, 3 power, no text.
Yep.
But I honestly I haven't seen that card literally since the first time. Like they literally make you play the card, and then they're like, "Get rid of this card out of your deck." If I'm not mistaken, you literally start the tutorials like literally destroy this to get rid of it as soon as you get a card. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. They're
if
like,
I'm
remove shockers.
yeah, get rid of him. I mean, get rid of. The sad thing
No,
is,
that's
he's got such cool artwork. Like,
yeah.
why do they have to do it to him? Like, my biggest complaint about this game is why did they make such cool cards have to be the baseline cards? Like, why is Cyclops? I really like Cyclops. Cyclops is like one of the worst cards. Like, why
Oh,
is?
I
Anyways,
uh I disagree, but we'll get to that.
yeah. Well, he's a neutral, right? It's just yeah, whatever. Anyways, enough rants on that.
Wait, wait a second. This is alphabetical, right? Where's Cyclops?
Cyclops, we already did it.
Oh, not Cyclops. I was thinking of. Never mind.
All right. Anyways, so Domino, here's what I'm gonna say about her. It's I don't think the card is very good early on. I don't think it's bad. I'm gonna agree with you. I think it is about B because like you said, there isn't much of a downside with the card. Um, it's just mediocre across the
Yeah.
board, right? It honestly is. It gets better later on when you want to build a. So there's a card called Jubilee. I think you've
Oh
actually
yeah.
seen the card. So
She whooped my butt.
so 4 cost, 1 power on reveal is you summon a card from your deck onto the location as well. So what really sucks is if you pulled a crappy card, right? Well, a way to alleviate that is you play Quicksilver on 1, Domino on 2, and then on turn 3 you have a couple, maybe you got some cards or whatever, and then Jubilee on 4, and then you pull some big boy, like Hulk or something. That's always like the dream for me, right? So I'm gonna agree with you. B, I just wanted to give my little explanation of it. Nothing. I don't know. I just had to talk, I
Yeah.
guess. We got Electra next. 1 cost, 1 power. On reveal, destroy a random enemy 1 cost card at this location. Uh, I was a huge Electra fan when I first played. Like, I mean, I played this card probably more than almost any other card. There were like 3 or 4 cards that I played in almost every single deck, and this was one of them when I first started. And now I haven't played it. I don't think I've played it since probably like pool, basically mid pool two. It just got kind of moved out. The 1 cost cards I haven't been seeing as many of them and whatnot. So and later on you end up getting a card that basically does the same thing just better. So in pool one, I think it's about a B. I think it's pretty solid, but nothing too fancy. I don't know how you feel.
I think that's perfectly fine. I think she's upper B tier, and yeah, I put her in all my decks. Pretty much exactly what you said. I'm you, but several months behind,
Yeah, yeah.
apparently.
It sounds like it. Sounds like you're basically me. All right, moving on. We got Enchantress. So Enchantress, 4 cost, 4 power. On reveal, remove the abilities from all ongoing cards at this location. So if you're getting whooped on by Devil Dinosaur, just drop this and he becomes a 0 power card. It feels really good when you get that off, like really good. Now, if they aren't playing ongoing cards, it kind of sucks. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a little bit of a juggling act there. I feel like this is kind of similar to Cosmo, honestly. I don't know how you feel, but because I feel like it's just a tech card, it doesn't really.
Hmm.
I don't feel like it makes like decks. I feel like you're just throwing in if you're seeing the meta go towards like ongoing cards, specifically Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah. So when I first saw this, watchers, if you're just getting into the game, when I first saw Enchantress, I was like, oh, this card is like A tier. Like it's gonna be in every deck. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh my god, And then I got it, and I was like, okay, it's going in my deck. And I played it, a couple games, dozen games, 20 games, and I'm like, okay, she's not that good. She's definitely useful in instances, and it's not too much of a hassle if she doesn't like get her functionality out there. But yeah, she's just a tech card. She's only useful in that one specific case, maybe if you had, it's interesting that she's not so useful beyond pool one because I feel like you get some more powerful cards, she would be more useful. Uh, yeah, I like very encouraging whenever you get her, and kind of dies off as you grow your deck, and everybody else you're playing against grows their deck.
Yeah. So, one thing I will, I guess, mention is number one, it really sucks if you use this card and you hit your own. Because, like, I didn't realize it also hits your own guys.
Mm-hmm.
But you can play that to your advantage with a card like Lizard, who has a
Yep.
negative ongoing effect for you.
Yep.
So there is kind of something you could trade off and whatnot, but we'll get to Lizard later on. But and also the baseline for a 4 cost is 6 power. So she is -2 power compared to everything else. But yeah, so I think C tier, got it going on. But next we have Forge, 2 cost, 1 power with on reveal. Give the next card you play +2 power. Um, there's essentially only one card that really benefits from this in pool one, and that's Mr. Sinister. Which I do like Mr. Sinister, especially later on. Um, but in pool one, I don't feel like it's as useful. That's essentially so. I would say like C because he's basically a 2 cost. It's essentially Forge is a 2 cost 3 power, and then he could fit into a deck like Carnage because then you can also eat him and get +1 power with Carnage if you wanted. So he's definitely not bad. I would probably say he's like top of C. That's essentially where I'd throw him.
Yeah, I would put him in top of C as well. And I would say that I disagree that he's a 2 cost 3 power because you're sacrificing a location, not necessarily the same one for the card that you then play, but it's just not worth it in my eyes to really play him
Mm-hmm.
because it's
So
just give the next card you play. It doesn't have to be at that location. So, you know, in an instance where I would use him as I would say, okay, this, location number two is the one I'm sacrificing. Like I'm not gonna go for it because whatever reason. So I throw him down in that location so I don't take up a space, and the next card I play gets the +2 power.
yeah, I usually do that myself. If I've noticed my opponent's been going like really hard in the location, and I'm like, all right, I throw my hands up. That location's already yours. Take it. I will sometimes sacrifice cards into that location if they have like effects and they don't have a good body, so I can guarantee another one. I agree though. Like it is. That's why I think he's in C. If he was better, um, maybe he gave +3 power, then I mean, God, he'd be really, really strong. I feel. Um, as is, I feel like he gets a little bit better later on as you get a couple more cards, but nothing wide. Like I'm talking like just a tad better in C. Like he doesn't even make it a B. It's just he gets a little bit better. That's all. All right. So next card is gonna be Groot, 3 cost, 3 power with on
I
reveal. If
am.
your opponent played a card here this turn, +3 power. Did you say something?
I was just saying, I am Groot.
Oh yeah. Let me hear what you
Yeah.
think. So, one thing is these guys have all a theme. The what the heck are they from? What is that movie? I can't even.
Guardians of the
Guardian of the
Galaxy.
Galaxy. I don't know why I literally drew a blank. Um,
Yep.
yeah, all of the Guardians of the
So,
Galaxy, for the most part, have ability like this.
yep, I have
So
a deck that is called Guardians, and it is the second that I got all of them. I think I don't know if Drax is in the game yet, but I
he
don't have
is.
Drax.
He's
Yeah,
a
okay.
pool. He's in pool three.
That's terrible. Why would you do that? Anyways, I have all the cards minus Drax. So I made a Guardians deck, and like you could literally drag all the Guardians up right next to Groot because I think they're all B tier, and I grouped them all together even in my own tier list. Uh, because I'm biased, and the type of cards that they are, I like to play. I like to predict where my enemy is going to play, and I have a I have a I can't remember what it's called, but I've got a deck, with the Guardians in it, but the rest of the filler cards are cards that it's my punish deck. So I call it the punish deck because it's either punishing them or punishing me. Because if I fail, I pretty much losing out on a lot of power, right?
Yeah.
But it is very rewarding to like hit them multiple times. Like, go ahead, buddy. I know where you're gonna go. Oh, really? AntMan on the location 3, huh? Okay, here you go. You know, like,
Yeah, they're
and
definitely.
you can, yeah, you can save them up, right?
Mhm.
Those are cards that I can like save up till like round 3, 4, 5, and like I know where they're gonna play, so I'm just like, here you go, and like just power, several cards at once. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
So I I don't disagree with you. I like playing that way because I do feel like you could kind of get into your opponent's mind, especially once they start playing cards. So, like, I'll never play Rocket Raccoon on turn one. Almost never because it's too risky. And
hmm
later in the game, you can kind of guarantee, like,
yeah, and
at
for the
least,
viewers out there, Electra is never played on round one. Never.
yes.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Yes,
I keep
100%.
I watch these goofballs play against me, and the second they do it, I just snap. I'm like, oh, okay, not
Yeah.
intelligent. Here you go.
Yeah, I agree. So I will say this though. For me, I do think there is a difference between these cards. So, Groot, I think, is middle of the pack though. I think Groot is the middle of the pack one. I do think there are worse ones, and I think there are better ones. So I'll explain to him when we get to him. How about that?
hmm hmm
Leave some suspense for you. So
Yeah.
I'll leave it at B. Uh, I'd probably put it right around here. Whatever. Next we have Hawkeye. So 1 cost, 1 power on reveal. If you played a card at this location the next turn, you get +2 power. So basically, like what we were saying, this if you do play this card, you are literally telling your opponent, "I am playing a card here next turn." So get your Guardians of the Galaxy cards out and just slap me in the face with them. But at the same
Yep.
time, at the same time, a 1 cost 3 power is not bad. It's not bad at all. So I feel like he's kind of middle of the road as well. I feel like he's right around that B. Not too fancy. I feel like the downside is almost a hindrance is the problem of like telling your opponent what you're doing.
Yeah, you're telegraphing, but the way that I like to see it is the benefit is if you play him early, telegraphing not that big of a deal. Uh, and if you're playing him late game, it could be more of a hindrance. But you can always do the old switcheroo. You throw him down at a location and that you're just going to burn. Like screw location 3, and then just play at a different one. You might be able to use it against him. So like I think he's the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I've always been thrown off when people do that. I'm like, I don't know if they misplayed or they're actually doing this on purpose. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave him at B. I'll just throw him here. Whatever.
I like the a little tangent. Whenever the location is on reveal happens twice,
Yeah,
like his little neck goes out twice, and the corners become blue, and I'm like, yeah, superpower. There you
yeah. I
go.
I really so there is a card later on I think that's like a smaller card than Odin that does the same thing Odin does pretty much I think if I'm not mistaken. Um
Oh wow,
I could be wrong, don't quote me because I don't have the card, but I feel like I've seen it.
probably.
There's some craziness that goes on, but anyways, Heimdall, we've kind of mentioned him a little bit. So here we are, 6 cost, 8 power on reveal. Move your other cards 1 location to the left. Now, I feel like this is the biggest it's like the biggest big brain card out there. Essentially, you play this thing and you're like, "Aha! You've been trying to win this location. Well, jokes on you." But I honestly think he's one of the better six drops because of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I would
My
say
my
I'd say A somewhere, roughly.
yeah, my opinion is that of C, but only because I think he's like a niche thing. But you bring up some good points. I mean,
Essentially,
if you play him, you probably beat me
yeah.
uh first go around. Like if we're playing for the first time, like yeah, okay, good job, buddy. You get your free W.
Hmm. It's essentially just a. It is a way that you could really throw off your opponent. That's how I look at it. Even though
Yeah.
yes, he doesn't have a ton of power. I mean, only six cost, eight power. He's worse than the American Chavez, but the ability is pretty crazy. So yeah, I would say rate like towards the bottom A, maybe top B, somewhere around there. Um, Next we have Hulk Buster, 3 cost, 4 power. On reveal, merge this card with a random friendly card at this location. So if you're playing cards like Ant-Man, um, which now that I think about it, where the heck did we already do Ant-Man? Where is Ant-Man?
He's not here.
Well, all right. Well, somehow I missed Ant-Man. We will. I have no idea how I missed him, but we'll talk about him at the end of the, I guess, the list. Uh, so if you're playing Ant Man, it becomes a it's kind of like it works against him, right? Because you
Hmm.
want to fill up your locations. Now there are a couple cards I think like Nightcrawler, and I also think well, not Mister Sinister, excuse me. God, what was the other card? I was literally just looking at it and I was like, yeah, that card as well. Um, wow, I don't know what the card is off the top of my head.
Multiple
Multiple
man
Man.
vision. Yeah.
Yeah, multiple. Any of the movement cards really, I feel like it does work well with. So I feel like it's kind of niche though. It has that base power. I think he's like kind of C somewhere. What are you
Yeah, I
thinking?
put him I put him as um middle B, where he's useful. He's not too much of a hindrance, and he's
Yeah,
got the right power for his cost. So,
yeah.
you know.
Man, it really bothers me that I missed Ant Man. Let's just talk about Ant Man right now. Let's just do it
Yeah.
because all right, Ant Man is literally one of the most played cards probably in the game. So one cost, one power with +3 power if you have 4 cards at this location, or it might say you have 3 other cards at this location. Somewhere basically you filled up the whole location. Uh, this is the strongest one drop in the game, at least like with uh there's almost no downside, right? Unless they kill a card with like an Electra or something along those lines, Killmonger. You haven't seen that card probably yet. Something.
Uh, I have
Okay,
I have
so if they play something like that, then yes, obviously there's a negative. But um, compared to other one cost cards, like it is the best I think one drop in the game. So
yeah.
it's easily an S tier. It would be right up top here with America Chavez. Probably it would be right either. I don't know. It depends on my mood. I probably would actually put Ant Man ahead of America Chavez. I think it's probably the best card in pool one. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think he's pretty powerful since he's so cheap. You don't have to throw him down at the beginning
Hmm.
if you don't want to telegraph what you're going to do. So it's an easy way to get some extra power in a location, and yeah, he's pretty strong.
Yeah, I think the personally the strongest deck in pool one is all one cost cards essentially with Kazar.
Yeah,
That's what I think is the. I honestly think that is the deck that you roll with, and the close second would be the ongoing deck with Spectrum. So, yeah. Anyways, let's jump with Hulk. So Hulk is 6 cost, 11 power, and no text. Just this is another one. I am so upset that they didn't make this guy cooler. The fact that he's just 6 cost, 11 power kind of sucks, but the saving grace is he's still useful.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually good. He's not amazing, but he's actually like decent because
Yeah.
he's such a big amount of power. So I still play this card, actually. Even in pool 3 with Jubilee deck and whatnot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like this card is like an A tier.
Yeah, that's where I put him.
Damn. Which
Is
is it's
yeah,
funny. The
he's he's good.
it's funny because all of the cards that are neutral with no text or anything roughly aren't very good. The
Mm-hmm.
higher they go though, the higher cost they are, the better they get.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it's just a lot of stat points, right? Like even Abomination, he's not terrible, but I just the only one I would run is Hulk. That's it. So, anyways, enough of a rant.
Yeah.
Moving on to Iron Fist. 1 cost, 2 power. On reveal, move the next card you play 1 location to the left after it reveals. Yeah.
Bah.
I don't like this card at all. I
I
know
don't like it either.
I know it fits into the move stuff. I think it's like very niche. Um
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally not a fan of it. I would put it probably bottom of C, top of D, somewhere around there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
realistic. Once it's in D, it's just in the depths of hell. But
Yeah,
um,
I put him in D tier.
I'm gonna put him at D. Whatever. Not a huge fan. All right,
Yeah.
Iron Man, 5 cost, 0 power, ongoing, double the power at this location. So you get this guy wicked early. Like I think he's like
Mm-hmm.
one of the first cards you get,
Mm-hmm.
and he's honestly, I think he's a S tier. I think he's
Yeah.
that powerful.
I put him in A, but there's an easy argument for S tier. I think he's super useful, and
I
there's
think.
not a lot of like I've won with like 5 points, doubling 5 to 10,
Mhm.
and people are like, "Oh wow, I didn't expect that," like it's just
Here's the
it's
big thing. He's the best 5 drop in the game. Like maybe not the entire game. There probably are better ones later on and whatnot, but this is like one of the best 5 drops.
yeah.
So especially early on, like until you get to like pool 3, it's probably the best one.
Yeah, what's your basic? So your basic 5 drop is
Abomination.
Abomination with 8 points.
Yeah.
So if you can't beat 8 points at a location, like you don't have any points, you know?
Essentially, you don't want to play him unless you have the from the other cards 8 points. Now he does get really spicy if you could buff him. So with like cards like Forge, it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty nice. Um,
Because he
so
buffs himself.
yes, so
So a 2 would become a 4.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I like when you can get him buffed. Also, yeah, I decided to agree with you. He's going to A because it's not guaranteed that you're going to get the 8 points, but he is, just to let you guys know, everybody know, the best 5 drop you're going to get for almost like the entire time. Vision is the next closest thing to him, at least in my
Yeah,
opinion. So,
which is pool 2, I think.
yes. So let's see here. Next, we have Jessica Jones, which is a 5 cost, 8 power on reveal. If you don't play a card at this location, you get +2 power. So next
Mm-hmm.
turn. So it becomes a 5 cost, 10 power. This is pretty good, but also has the negative of telling your opponent you're not playing anything else here.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a lot of power for what you're getting. I think it's like average, like B, I'd say.
I put her in A tier just because towards the end of the game, you probably are telegraphing what you're going to do anyways, even without Jessica Jones. Like both teams are like, I'm going to play at this location.
Mm,
So you play her. Telegraphing can actually be a boon, and you know, she's baseline with Abomination, so you're not losing anything by putting it in your deck, and you're probably gaining more power
yeah.
because of it. So
The only reason why I wouldn't say she's an A is because I just feel like in this game, especially early on, the the lower cost cards are so much better than the high cost cards that it's like insane. So like putting this into your deck compared to like you can't have a lot of six drops, right? Like you can only play one of them. So why would
yeah,
you play like so if you decide to put America Chavez in there, you already know that that's in your deck. You already know you're drawing that on 6. That should be your only 6 drop. And
right,
then you can only play one 5 drop too. You can only play unless you play off curve and you do a 5 on turn 5 and a 5 on turn 6. I feel like if you're putting a 5 drop, you're probably putting Iron Man in. That's at
right.
least for me, my opinion, but um I mean, I wouldn't put any of them in if I were playing in pool 1. I'd be playing that super aggressive deck. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm gonna say top end of B. I think it's definitely good. I think Captain America is still a little better though. Next we have Kazar. So this card actually was nerfed as well. It was a 4 cost 5 power. Now it's a 4 cost 4 power. Ongoing, your 1 cost cards get +1 power. This is still, I think, one of the best cards. Um, if you play a very 1 cost heavy deck, this is essentially a 4 cost Blue Marvel. And this is probably my, top 3 most played cards so far. Um, I haven't been playing them as much because I've been trying to test other decks out, but I think he's easy S tier.
Oh wow. I put him in A tier. Uh, I have not tried playing a very low cost deck. I have one that's like ones and twos a lot, but not so
So
heavy on the ones.
if you play 4 1 drops, he's a 4 cost 8 power. If you just think of it that way.
Right.
Because I like to always, whatever the effect is, right, I count that. Like, so even though um, I noticed
Oh
that
yeah.
you don't do it, right? Forge, for example, like I count him as a 2 cost 3 power, right? Uh, I count Kazar as basically a 4 cost 8, basically.
Well,
I
I,
mean,
I count I do count the powers, but Forge is special because he's a hindrance on the location
yeah. On the location
in
you
my
play him at, yeah.
eyes. Yeah.
So I think Kazar's body, even though it's only 4 now, it used to be 5. I think it's still,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're in my mind you're breaking even. You're probably a little less than even, but you're breaking even, you
yeah.
know. And if you've
So,
got any one cost cards, you're above.
mm. um, so next we have Claw, 5 cost, 4 power, ongoing. This location to the right has +5 power. So essentially
Claw.
9 power for 5. Um, Now the ongoing stuff I said is one of I think the better decks in pool 1. And I think Claw is actually pretty good. Because you it's just that versatility, being able to spread out the power.
Yep.
Um, Now obviously he's not as good as like power wise as Jessica Jones, but I still actually honestly think he's better than Jessica Jones. Um, I think not like crazy much better, but I think he's top of B.
I think he's better than Jessica Jones because you have a full location to the side, and nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. You know, like here's the extra 5 points,
Yes.
and now you've got to deal with it. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I think top of B. I think it's pretty darn good.
hmm
Next up, we're going to talk about Korg. 1 cost, 2 power. On reveal, shuffle a rock into your opponent's deck. If you don't know what a rock is, a rock puts a 1 cost, 0 power card into their deck.
hmm
So you gave a little thumbs down. Let's hear it.
He was recently nerfed. It used to put 2 rocks in your deck.
Did he? I don't think he
Yeah,
did.
I think he did. At least when I first started playing, I could have swore it was. But anyways, the the benefit in my eyes, putting a single rock in another person's deck is not worth it because I can't see the results of that. And it's not so much, it's what is it, a 1 in 9 chance of being drawn during the game. It goes up over time. I just don't think it's worth it. Like if you're trying to harass people, like you're building a harassment deck or a disrupt deck or something, he's gonna go in there. But in a just like a regular old deck, I wouldn't put him in there, and I put him in a D tier.
All
Um,
right. So here's I see what you're saying because yes, on paper it does. On paper, that's how it seems, but if they draw that card, obviously it becomes it's pretty bad.
mhm.
Now he's to me he's an A tier because one it fits into that 1 cost deck. This is like one of the best 1 drops you can have.
I knew you were gonna say he was A tier.
Yeah, he's so he definitely fits into that 1 cost thing. He's super powerful, and people still. So when you look at disruption, like I said, the Yondu's, the Cable and whatnot. So Yondu's better than Cable because it's a 1 cost card, 2 power, right? That's at least how I view it. And Korg just does that, but like better, because you like taking away a card and them not being able to draw it doesn't actually hinder them. But if they draw a rock, that is massive. That's basically them not drawing a card that turn.
Right.
So that's why it's so much better, I feel. So I'm
And
sorry.
that will be a card someday where you play it and the next turn your enemy doesn't get to draw a card.
It's called Black Widow, and you can watch the video on this channel. Actually, I played.
I forgot about her, yeah.
Yeah, Black Widow. That's one of my favorite cards in Pool 3. So yeah, you'll be liking that card. All right, Kraven. I know you actually had a question about this card because you weren't maybe 100% sure about how it worked and whatnot.
Yeah, it's there's quite a few instances where something has the word move in it and it doesn't work the way I think it's going to work. Like there's a location, uh Fisk's Tower or something, where if a card moves there, it gets destroyed. But I've seen cards get moved there and not be destroyed. And Craven, I couldn't seem to get him to actually be buffed
Hmm.
the way that I read the description.
So basically, if you play like Heimdall and he's at well, more like this. You play Nightcrawler on one location, Craven, whatever the hell his name is. Um,
Yeah.
he's in the middle one. You got Nightcrawler on the left. You move him over to the middle one. He'll get the +2 power.
Apparently, I need to just do it again because I played Nightcrawler into Craven and it didn't do anything, and I was like, what the heck is
Did
going
you
on? Maybe
move it, or did like it has to move
no,
from a location to in there?
yeah, I moved Nightcrawler from one location to the other, and
Yeah,
it didn't work.
'cause
And then
it has to be into the location that Kraven is in. Craven.
right,
I don't know what the
and
hell.
and then there, like I brought up the Fisk Tower because it's supposed to destroy cards that move there,
Hmm.
but there's instances where it didn't destroy the card, and it was like because I thought it might be because the way the card's description calls out how they alter other cards or whatever. I don't know. I
The only way I feel like it
should have
wouldn't
saved it.
work at Fist Tower is because of a card like Armor or something, right? Um, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I haven't played much because I don't play move cards almost at all. So
Hmm.
it's, I would say the movement stuff is a little bit so for me. Now all you really do need if you want to get the power for this guy is one movement, but eh, I I don't know why he doesn't do much for me. Um, I'd put him at like C.
Yeah, he's bottom of B tier for me.
Yeah, I feel like he's like I would say like top C, right around there.
Yeah, you
Cause
have to
like,
have him out in play,
mhm.
and you have to have a card that either moves on its own or gets moved, or I guess a location that does moving. It's just like, when is this going to happen? That's a little hard to do.
One thing I don't know is how, and this is like I said, the amount of movement cards I've ever played is very minimal. I basically play them when I have a mission that's like move 10 cards or something, and I'm like, all right, time to just put all the move cards in and play games until I finish it. And then as soon as that's done, I delete the deck.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how it works with Heimdall. So is it, does it get three triggers? Or is it just like, or is it based on the order played? Because I know everything moves based on who gets played first, right? So first card you put gets moved over to the location first, the second one, third, fourth. If you can
Yeah.
move all four of them. So if he's the first card played, then he would probably get three triggers happened. If he's the last card played, he's not going to get any of them probably.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's how it would work. I'm still saying top of C.
Yeah, I feel like Craven could be a good card uh if he, let's say, his power was a 1, but other cards that move buff him. Like, they don't have to move to his location. Or maybe he could stay at 2/2 and other cards that move buff him. I don't know. Cuz then you could abuse it with some
So
other cards. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like him.
yeah, I never play him.
I
He
said what I said, and then I was like, wait, Vision would just like infinitely buff this guy for
but
like
Vision only can really get moved twice.
that's
Well,
true.
actually, technically, he can only move once if you play him on five. Turn five,
Yeah.
turn six. He's basically just a big version of Nightcrawler.
Twice
Now,
if he gets his, or his cost reduced
yeah.
somehow, but yeah.
So
It
Kraven
wouldn't be
actually used to be a two cost, two power. When a card moves here, it gets plus one power. So he got buffed. And after the buff, I still don't like him that much. So it
yeah.
just shows
Maybe.
he's
Yeah.
not for me. Uh,
Yeah.
Move on to Lady Sif. Lady Sif, two cost, four power. On reveal, discard the highest cost card from your hand. So we've already kind of mentioned it. Lady Sif is pretty much meant, especially in Pool 1, meant to be played with Apocalypse. Other than that, it's I don't feel as useful. What are your
Hmm.
thoughts?
I agree. I put her in C because she's only useful in the one instance, but she is more powerful than the other two costs at the cost of killing one of your own cards, which is in my mind a pretty big no-no. So, yeah, she's a C.
Yeah, I will move her there. Whatever. I've kind of given up on just actually ordering them.
Mm-hmm.
Lizard, two cost, five power, ongoing, minus three power if your opponent has four cards here. Card used to be worse. It used to be four power, so it would
Yep.
become a two cost, one power. Um, I feel like it's actually okay. Okay is the word I'm going to use.
Yep.
And the reason is because of the ongoing deck that I talk about with Spectrum. So you literally play every ongoing card essentially, and you just are able to get the few little steal wins because of Spectrum giving +2 power to them. And yeah, I mean, if they don't fill out the location where Lizard is, it's pretty good actually. I mean, it's very good, but if they do fill it out, ooh, you're sad, real sad.
Yeah. So Lizard is one of my S tier cards
Oh,
because it's like reverse telegraphing, right? I play that card early in the game and I have told the enemy, go ahead, commit to this location. I'm going to go play in the other spots, you know? Uh, or you play it in the late game where you're like, okay, the chances are high. I'm going to get this guy, max power because they're not going to play their cards there. Like, there's quite a bit of utility there, but being able to control your enemy, with relative accuracy, you're like, okay, you're going to have to play 4 cards here or you're going to pay the price. So I
yeah.
think that's highly valuable. And for the
I
fact
will.
that he's a 2 cost, really good.
I will. I will move up my. So here's the reason why I guess I was a little. I guess a little negative is I feel like every time I do actually play him is essentially they're going in on that location. Um, which whatever, it is what it is. But I usually like to play him later in the game, like you said, and especially now because like I haven't really played him since he got buffed, but I was playing him before the buff, and I feel like he was okay then as well. Now, yes, it was bad when it was even worse. I mean, 1 power is just like atrocious, but I will agree with you, but I'm not gonna give him an S. I'll give him an A. We'll throw him an A. How about that?
All right.
Because I do think, like I said, I think that Spectrum ongoing deck is extremely powerful, and he fits into it pretty well. Mantis. So this is another Guardians card. 1 cost, 2 power. On reveal, if your opponent played a card here, this turn draw a card from their deck. So this very similarly to you, I'm almost positive. I'm just gonna take a wild guess. Very similarly to you, this card I thought was busted because I was like, if I guess their location, I play Cable, I play Mantis, I play Yandu. All their cards are gone, baby. I'm swimming in it, and I look at it and I'm like, I'm playing a 1 cost 2 card to have a 33% chance to draw a card essentially. Now, yes, you can make it better if you can read your
I never
opponent.
miss.
Yeah,
I never
exactly. If you never miss, baby,
miss.
100%. But I I'm not gonna say it's terrible, but I think it's better than Cable. I think it's better than some. I think it's a B because it is a 1 cost card. That's what I'm gonna say. Because if it was a 2 cost card, if it was like 2 cost 3 power and it was the same ability, I think it would be like a D card. That's essential. It's because of Kazar that's essentially making this card.
Yeah. She's A tier for me. Just because exactly as you said. I won't repeat it.
Yeah, exactly. I read you like a book because that's exactly how I play
Like
it.
a
Um, so next we have Medusa, 2 cost, 2 power on reveal. If you play this at the middle location, get +2 power. Um, honestly, early on, this card is kind of nutty because there's almost no downside unless you literally get a location that's like can't play cards at this location, and you get it like there's that one location that's like can't play this card on after turn. I think it's like 2, 3, 4, or 5, or like 3, 4, 5, something like that.
Yeah.
So you could potentially get messed up by that, but overall, I honestly I think it's an easy A tier. for pool one.
Yep, I agree.
Going to Mr. Fantastic. 3 cost, 2 power. I'm going to give plus 2 power to adjacent locations. Um, so if you play this in the middle, which is essentially the only correct place to play him, you're
Mhm.
getting 6 power for 3, which I think is the baseline. So I think he goes right next to Captain America.
I agree. There's quite a few of the cards that kind of fall on that same thing. It's like, yep, here's their special ability. It's a little different than the others, but they're, the mid tier.
Yeah.
Here you
There, anything in, I would say this, anything in B and up is easily playable. Once you get to C, it's a little more niche. There's, I would say the only one in there that I would say is Deathlock. I do think he's niche just for pool one. That's it, because it's a little bit tougher to get him to be as useful. But once you get into pool two, he like rockets up to I think A.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Mr. Sinister, 2 cost, 2 power. We're running out of room on this B one. 2 cost, 2 power. Add a Sinister clone to this location with the same power. Interesting fact is also the Sinister clone has no text, so it gets that plus. There's that location that gives like +3
Hmm,
cards with no text.
that's
So
pretty interesting.
yeah, I think it's interesting, but it's kind of the same thing with the squirrels from Squirrel Girl. The
Mhm.
rocks too. They don't have any text. But
Right.
Mr. Sinister, I think, is okay. I mean, technically 2 cost, 4 power, but you're taking up 2 location spots, which is, I think, a big negative. If you could buff them, which there's not many options to do in pool one, essentially your only option is, I believe, Forge. Um,
Yep.
so it's either Forge or Bust. That's essentially what it is. Because of that, I would say basically a C,
Yep.
right next to
Exactly.
Forge.
Exactly as I would put it. Yep.
Yep. Put him right next to Forge. All right, here's my favorite card of the entire set, baby. Misty Knight. 1 cost, 2 power with no text. Bravo. Hit me with it.
She's cute. She is cute. However, no disrespect to my queens out there, but she's a D tier for me.
So, uh, I don't know. Did you get the season passes? You have, right?
I
Not
got
mistaken.
this one.
Yeah.
This is the first season pass that I've gotten.
Okay. Yeah. So it is so disappointing that they're giving her freaking card as an alternate artwork. It's so cool looking, but man, it's so useless.
Yeah.
So I feel real bad. It's too.
She,
I kind of wish that they would just like. I wish they would just like, hey, these are the base cards, but then these cards get upgraded, right, to like an actual card with text instead. So then they're actually useful. Because
yeah, I mean, somebody's got to be the no text cards. I probably could have picked a better, uh, a better character to be like. In my mind, no text cards should be like Shield Agent number 137. Like
yes,
nameless red shirt character, or like goofball characters like Squirrel Girl should be
yes.
no text. Here you go. It's
Now,
funny. Haha.
but the problem is Squirrel Girl does have like. By the way,
Well, I'm just
just
saying like goofball
yes,
kind of
cards that like
characters.
characters that nobody really cares about, right? I'm sure there's
Yeah.
somebody out there that cares about Squirrel Girl. No offense to you guys, but
Yeah.
um,
Well, Squirrel Girl's probably a bad example, but like Shield Agent.
Agent
Just pick
13 is a card. Okay, I don't know if you have
Okay,
it.
well there you go.
Agent
I
13
don't
is a
know.
card. It's a 1 cost, 1 2, and it adds a random card to your hand. It's actually very good. It's so
Wow.
it is so
Whoa.
disappointing that that card like that card should be the one that's
Yeah.
in replace for Misty Knight in my opinion. But anyways, yeah, there's not much to say. Moon Girl, moving on to 4 cost, 4 power, and on reveal, duplicate your hand. So there's a lot to this card actually. Being able to maybe you got some, Bravo is a big fan of the disruption, so maybe he's holding on to Yandu, and he's able to drop a double Yandu on turn 5, and maybe he is actually able to get rid of all their cards. You
I
know,
have done it.
I've done it one time, only
I've
once.
gotten rid of a person's entire deck.
It is very satisfying, I'm sure,
Yeah,
because I've
and
only done it once.
they didn't play anything turn 6, and yeah, I won, but it's very niche, very
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So the big thing, which I didn't actually know that this was like the comic book series, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I didn't know that they were a thing. Makes
Yeah,
sense now as to why they go together so well in this game. But
yeah.
yeah,
You're welcome for that.
I would, yeah, it was you that actually told me that. I mean, because of the combo for Devil Dinosaur, I feel like Devil Dinosaur isn't as good without Moon Girl. It's still good, but I do think that Moon Girl is it.
Yeah.
I don't know where I put her, man. I feel like B still. I feel like it might be A just because it's like they're like next to each other, but I
I'm
don't feel like she's
surprised Moon Girl isn't on your one cost card like deck,
it's not because she takes up a spot for my one cost cards. I got a very limited amount of cards I could play,
You can
and
literally play 6 one cost cards on turn 6 and just wait till you draw her, and turn 5 comes around, you're like, "Okay, I got to play some cards."
see,
Turn 6, boom.
this is the deck very quickly off the top of my head, right? You got, let's just say 6 cards that are one cost, right? We're just saying that as so half your deck's one cost.
Mhm.
Then afterwards, you got cards like Wolfsbane, you got Bishop, you've got Kazar, you got America Chavez,
Mhm.
and then whatever else. I don't know,
Yeah,
something
but
else
hear
maybe.
me out. Hear me out. I don't want anybody to hear this, but you could have 2 Khazars.
Oh, whoa.
Boom. Now
It's
you got a Moon Girl out there. You've already got a Khazar out there. Your last turn, you throw another Khazar out there. Boom. That's probably biting off too much. That's a
it's very ambitious. That's all I'm gonna
yeah.
say.
It's a particular yeah. It's a particular chain of
Very
events
ambitious.
that has to happen. Yeah. And
Um,
that, just to get off on a little bit more of a tangent, that's definitely something that's going to happen to you whenever you're first playing. Like, you're going to get ambitious and you're like, oh yeah, this is how it's going to happen. Pow, pow, pow. And then you play a couple games and you're like, I only played 3 cards
mm,
this entire game because you're just like way too ambitious, and then you got to tailor it back. You're like, okay, I'll remove this 4 cost and I'll put in a 2 cost, and I'll flop out, switch out the 3 cost for a 2. Now maybe I can play the game, like it's just going to happen.
there are um, so many times where I have thought I've had the biggest brain in the world making a deck, and
Yeah.
then I got so ambitious and I don't win at all, like nothing. Honestly, the best creation I've had has been my disruption deck, um, which is the last video I was talking about with the Black
Hmm.
Widow, but
Hmm.
I made it even better. And this deck is insane how annoying it is probably to play against. So I love it. It's easily one of my favorite decks to play.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, I'm sticking with B. I'm guessing you put her in A.
I put her in B.
Okay, all right. So I feel all right. Morph is next. So Morph's 3 cost, 0 power. On reveal, become a copy of a random card in your opponent's hand. This is literally just a meme card. It's just gambling as a card.
Yep.
I'm not surprised they made something like this, especially based off of like things like Hearthstone, being that most of the team came from Hearthstone. And
Mhm.
I I would honestly say this is like a D tier. Yes, you can high roll, but you're
I
you're playing this as a joke essentially.
Yeah, I think Morph is C tier for me. He's got enough utility where, yeah, okay. And it matches his abilities in the comic books pretty much exactly.
Oh,
He borrows the powers from the people around him, so it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. But yeah, there's not a lot of like real good use out of this guy.
It's amazing flavor. The problem comes down to is like you're like, oh, I'm playing this, and then you get like Nightcrawler, right? You get Mantis, you get one drop card. It feels bad when you play 3. Now it feels real good if you get Hulk, but
Does it? Because you're still only gonna play Hulk.
well, you're getting a 3 cost, 11 power, right?
Hmm.
So that I mean that's amazing. Um,
But yeah,
listen, I'll
if you are gonna play Morph, you wait till like turn 5, 6,
yes,
and you throw him down
you're definitely
because
my biggest thing I've noticed now is I'm a huge fan of on turn 6 playing 2/3 drops. I have become a huge fan of that because I feel like most people play one card on 6.
hmm
A lot of people play like their one big boy, and it's like if you're able to just spread it out and be like, look at this, boom, smacked you with some spreading the love a little bit. They didn't expect that, but anyways.
you hold Wolfsbane, AntMan, and what's the 2 cost? Anyways, you hold a couple cards till the end. You throw them down. You spread them all out amongst the 3 locations, and your guy that's going to play one card, he can't compete.
Yep. So yeah, I'll leave him there. Multiple man is next. 2 cost, 3 power when this moves, add a copy to the old location. So basically, when it moves, it just duplicates. Makes sense. Pretty good
Wait,
flavor.
I don't know if that's wow.
What'd you think it was?
Did they just change him?
No, he's been that way the whole time. He's always
I could have swore
when you move him,
he
he splits and then he leaves as one copy at the location.
I thought he added a copy to every location.
No, there is a card that's kind of like that. I think it's like Mysterious Man or something along those lines. And he puts like 2 clones out on the field, but then like at the end of the game, the other 2 disappear. I think it does something like that, but I don't
Hmm.
have the card. I can't tell you. Yeah, that's what he does. Um. Anyways, so we've talked about him a little bit because of cards like Hulkbuster and Forge. Um, and also the Doctor whatever, Doctor Strange. So
Strange.
I think he's okay. You got to buff him up before he really gets useful. But I would kind of say he fits. Uh, I think he's right around C. I think a lot of these move cards are right around there. Honestly, I've given up on this ordering these.
Yeah, he's a C tier for me.
Yeah. All right, Namor, one of my favorite cards from Pool One. 4 cost, 5 power, ongoing plus 5 power. If this is your only card here, I this was thrown into almost all my decks. I don't know why. I loved this card back when I first started, and I haven't
Yeah.
been playing him as much, but I still think he is pretty darn good. So if you play with Spectrum, he becomes a 4 cost 12 power card if it's the only card in the location. Now, it's not really it's not a ton of power to win a location, but it does win sometimes. If there's a card that's like the location is like only one card to be played here, or I think Atlantis is a location that gives plus 5 power if there's only one card at this location. So he obviously shines in that one as well. I
Which makes
think,
sense.
yeah, makes a lot of sense.
That's my
Um,
favorite part. Whenever they have like the lore of the characters line up with the different things in the game.
oh yeah,
Chef's kiss.
it's a it's definitely amazing. So I'm struggling here. I want to put him in A, but I think he's more like B. Maybe you'll
Yeah, I put him in
persuade me. Let's see what
I
you
I
say.
I put him in B.
All right.
He is very useful, but the way that I play, he's not gonna get a lot of that benefit.
Hmm.
I literally put him in my deck whenever I get the mission to like win a location with a single card. I'll put him and Jessica Jones, and I'll just see what happens.
Mm.
And so yeah, he definitely you if you put him in your deck, you're gonna win a location off of him in a random upset. So do what you will with that.
Once in a while it'll work, but I just I love him. It's too bad because like as soon as you play a card there, he becomes worse than the thing, which is the baseline card, which we'll
Yeah,
get
and the
to
thing
later
is
on.
a 4/6, and he's yeah, like it's not that much of a loss for the potential benefits. So
No. Anyways, moving on to Nightcrawler. 1 cost, 2 power, and you can move this card 1 time. I don't know exactly the wording. I don't have it up, but that's roughly
yeah,
what it words like. So yeah, I'm gonna let you talk about it first.
he is my last S tier card for pool one.
You
I put
are
him at
100%.
yeah, I put him S tier because the ability to move a card uh, to another location, even though we've kind of been crapping on move, crapping on move cards, him specifically being able to do so is very powerful. And I like to play him at the beginning of the game. It just feels like I get him pretty often in my hand, and you throw him down, you let all the locations fill up, you maybe let some other things happen, boom, you move him over. There's a bunch of cards in the game that he can work with, like Angela, where she gets an extra 2 power once you throw him down, and then you move other cards around. So there's just a lot of utility to him.
Yeah. Um. So I'm gonna give you guys a little hint. You know the reason why he's S tier? He cost 1. So he costs 1 and he can move. So yeah, he's very good. Still gets played a pretty good amount even where I'm at. Moving on to Nova though. 1 cost, 2 power. When this is destroyed, give your cards +1 power. I said earlier, hinted at that this card was probably the best card in the game when it was originally created because it gave +2 power to everything at 1 cost. Now I think it's fair, and I, I don't think it's like insane. I think it's just fair. I would say B. You know, it works well, obviously in destruction and stuff, but um, yeah, I think B is pretty fair.
Yep, that is where I put him.
Okay, so going on to Odin. 6 cost, 8 power on reveal. Activate the other on reveal abilities at this location. Wording maybe a tad different off the top of my head. But
Mm-hmm.
Odin is, I think, the first like combo piece that they give you when they're like, "Hey, we're giving you White Tiger and Odin. Look at this. They go back to
Oh
back.
boy.
Oh boy, big brain, right?" And it's not a bad little combo, honestly. Um, I think
Yeah.
kind of. So the negative that I see is a lot of the on reveal abilities that I like to play don't come into effect from him. So, like for example, if I played Korg, right, putting that rock into their deck, it doesn't matter. I put a rock in their deck. I literally did nothing. They're not drawing any more cards.
Right.
Um, it doesn't matter if you do with the Yondu. You're not destroying a card. Um, just anything like that. Cable doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You drew another card from their deck. But it does matter when it's something like Groot, any of the Guardian of the Galaxy cards. It does matter if it's something like I said, White Tiger. But honestly,
Medusa, Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic is ongoing. Um,
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
yeah. So Odin, I would say he's close to A, B or A. Hmm.
Yeah. I put him as A tier because he was in my deck for the majority of pool one because there's really not a lot of cards. Depending on what cards you get as you climb up pool one, he's probably him and White Tiger and Odin, like they're just gonna be in your deck for a while.
Yeah. So early on, um, I have to look. I don't have it pulled up right now, but so there's like essentially, it's like you have your starting cards, then there's like 1 to 14, and they give you cards 1 to 14. I believe Odin and White Tiger are in the 1 to 14, and then it's pool one. So we kind of just combined all of them together, just because like
Right.
where else would we get them? So like they definitely like when they give you Odin and White Tiger, if I'm not mistaken, it is probably the best option that you have until I feel you get to which Kazar is also in that, but you probably don't have enough one cost cards to really get Kazar going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll throw him in A. Next, we have Onslaught, 6 cost, 6 power, ongoing. Double your other ongoing effects at this location. And I've talked about the ongoing deck a bit. And the crab thing is, I do think Onslaught is pretty solid, but I don't feel like he is the better option for the ongoing 6 drops. I feel like Spectrum's better. Um, but obviously a real nice way to win a location is maybe turn 1 through 4 you're pumping 2 locations, and then turn 5 and turn 6 you go Iron Man into Onslaught. It's a pretty decent way to kind of seal one location. And then obviously you could Onslaught is pretty versatile. Works great with Claw, works great with Mr. Fantastic, Captain America, Punisher. Honestly, he is very good. Um, I feel like the only negative is he's like a win more card, right? I feel like when you end up playing him, you're like overkilling that location, and then you're giving the opponent a way to try to steal something else.
Yeah. That's something that have struggled with is pulling back on a location. It's like, okay, I'm winning this location, but I need to guarantee it. It's like, did you really need to get that location to 40?
Yeah.
Did you?
So I've
You could
noticed,
have won this other one.
yeah, I've definitely noticed that what I do is when it's turn 5, I will judge the locations, right? It's like, all right, this one, 100% I'm out, right? They got me by like 10 to 15. There's no way I'm getting it. So then you got the other two, and it's like, all right, I guarantee you have that location. I don't need to play anything. And then this location we're fighting for. And a lot of times it's like I'd rather just have the big power than Onslaught's ability. Um, so it's a struggle. Usually, if I have a 10 power on a location on like an opponent, I'm pretty much guaranteeing I'm winning that, because it's like what are the chances they're running Hulk? I feel like especially at my levels, uh, Hulk isn't played a ton cards like that. So yeah. Anyways, um,
Yeah.
I feel like Onslaught's about a B. I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
what do you think.
fair. That's fair.
We'll throw him up here, whatever. All right, Professor X. This one I think is interesting. 5 cost, 3 power. Ongoing, lock down this location. Cards can't be added, removed, or destroyed. Pretty interesting card. I actually think this card's cool.
Yeah, I think his card's useful. Um, you you kind of got to gauge, how much do I need to be winning this location by to throw him down. Uh, so
So,
I put him towards the end of B tier for that reason
wow.
because you can mess yourself up. But I really haven't played with him that much.
All right, I'm gonna give you a little bit of the sauce here, right? The if you play him with Daredevil on turn
Yeah,
5,
yeah, yeah,
then you can just guarantee win a location with him, and then you
yeah.
could just focus on the other one. So I think that's where he comes into play without Daredevil though. So if you haven't played for him, he's like dumpster trash. Like he's pretty bad. But
Yeah.
with Daredevil, he's like pretty good. I I would say he's like a tech card. I would say
Yeah.
C is about where I would throw him. I do see what you're saying though, like because you can like really screw your opponent up. Like maybe they're like, all right, just leave that location. I got my big boy sitting here in hand. I'm gonna steal that at the end of the game, and then you just drop this, you just steal it from them, right?
And it's
That's
it's
always
also not a guaranteed win. Somebody plays the claw, your location's close,
yeah,
you just lost.
yeah. So, anyways, going on to Punisher, 3 cost 2 power ongoing +1 power for your opponent's cards at this location. Some wording like that. Basically, if there's 4 cards there, he becomes a 3 cost 6 power. This is right next to Mr. Fantastic and Captain America because it literally is the same power. Just depends on what your opponent's doing.
Yep.
Quicksilver, 1 cost 2 power. This starts basically in your hand. this starts in your hand. It's some wording like that.
Yep.
So you can
Card
play him right
always
on
starts
one.
in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah, what do you think? We talked about Domino. We talked about America Chavez.
Yeah, you're probably gonna hate on Quicksilver, but I used Quicksilver in my deck for a really long time in pool one
Mm,
because having the guaranteed card to play, I felt was worth it because you just get 2 points on the board.
mm.
You're not if you don't have a one car cost at the beginning, you're just wasting that energy. So, efficiency wins out. Throw him out there, get some points.
All right.
Pretty good card.
So you said I'm probably gonna hate on him. So I don't hate him. And so
Get this,
base
guys. He's a one
he's a one
cost.
cost, guys. I don't know if you know that. So he is 1 cost. He fits into that deck with Kazar, which I think is the by far the best deck. And later on, like I said, if you're playing that big deck, you got your 1 to get your random 2 cost, 2 power. Then you got Domino for your 3 power, and then you could play your big boys later on. So I don't think he's terrible. I would say honestly he's about like bottom of A, top of B, right around there. Because like I said, your pool for 1 drops when it comes to pool 1, like the 1 drops are so minuscule, and you're kind of pulling for almost anything you can get. And like you said, having that guaranteed card in your hand, I don't think is bad. So, yeah, I'd say, I'm gonna say top of B. I'm gonna
That's
say
where I
he's up
put him.
there. Yeah, because
My number one B slot.
I do think he's pretty good. So, all right, now I'm curious about Rocket Raccoon. I want to hear what you say because you said Guardians of the Galaxy cards. So you said they're all roughly the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Rocket gets a
I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong.
okay because Rocket is a one cost.
Exactly. So we don't have him on here, which I'm so mad that AntMan's not on here because he literally is the best card in Pool One. He's like by far the best card in Pool One. And so my buddy, he is kind of, I would say, the opposite of you, where he doesn't like to play anything that has a chance. Because if he loses that chance, he's like, this is not worth it. I'd rather play
Lost
something.
the game.
Yeah, he'd rather not take the gamble. He's like,
Let me guess your buddy's cards, and I bet he's gonna watch this. So I'm
he's
looking
definitely
right
gonna
at
watch it. Yeah, he's gonna definitely
I'm
watch this.
looking right at you.
Looking at you, Jimbo.
Let me guess your hand. Okay, Quicksilver 1, Domino 2, American Chavez last card. Boom. What's in
So
between?
I told
Guaranteed
you,
numbers, baby.
his deck. He doesn't play anything above 3 because for him, he just wants to dump his stuff. He doesn't play card 1, 2, or 3. Excuse me. He doesn't play card 1 and 2 because because a lot of times early on, in pool one, tons of people play Rocket Raccoon, and tons of people play Rocket Raccoon on turn one, and then he's like, "Ha, gotcha." You're screwed. So,
Oh yeah, he's the
um,
opposite. He's like, I got you now, sucker.
yeah, he's doing the other thing. He's clapping because he just screwed you over. So I think
Mhm.
he's bottom of S tier, but I think he's like one of the best one drops because you got to think he is a chance to be another Ant Man. There's a chance that you can get another Ant Man. Okay,
Yeah,
that's why.
I like the combo Kazar Rocket. That's great. Uh, I like I said, I put all of the Guardians next to each other.
Yep,
Uh, so yeah, Rocket probably makes it into A tier for that. You're convincing me of these one cost cards.
I'm telling you, you're gonna be playing this deck. Scarlet Witch, 2 cost, 3 power. On reveal, replace this location with a random new one. Um, so card was better before. It was nerfed because it was a 1 cost.
Oh my gosh.
um, and Scarlet Witch is, I think, still pretty useful. So I don't believe, unless I missed a card, which I don't. Somehow I missed Ant Man. Literally one of my favorite cards. I literally missed it. Um, I wonder if I literally have it in my. So what I did was I took a screenshot of all the cards and I put them into a folder, and that's how I uploaded it. And I feel like what I did was I maybe just skipped uploading that one card, and it's still in my folder. Anyways, enough of my rant. Scarlet Witch, I think, is the only card that can actually change a location in Pool 1. You get Storm, I believe, in Pool 2, and she also does, which I think she's better than the Scarlet Witch. But I see a lot of people play Scarlet Witch. I think she's, pretty solid. I'd give her a B.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a it's a really good card. It's a very well designed card because you can predict, you know, a location that gives -2 to all the cards there. Your enemy's not going to play it there. You wait to play Scarlet Witch till a couple turns later. You slap it down. It changes to something that's not negative. Doesn't really matter what it is as long as it's not negative, and you're suddenly winning by quite a bit. There's a pretty good chance. You're rolling the dice already.
Yeah. No,
Uh, so
it's a gamble for sure, but usually you're gambling it if there's like a reason you're gambling. It's because you're probably losing it or the location is negative for you, and you're like, all right, we got to get rid of this. Like you said, like negative zone or something, right? Um,
mhm.
so yeah. Anyways, I think B's fair. Next we have Sentinel, which 2 cost, 3 power. On reveal, add a copy of this card to your hand. So this card, honestly, one of the better 2 drops, I'd say, when you're playing Devil Dinosaur. You just keep spamming it down and you're pretty good. So I'd say he's in B. Kind of same thing.
Yeah, Sentinel is what I would say is like core B.
Yeah.
Like there's so many times where Sentinel comes in clutch because you're essentially drawing another card consistently. That's a 2-3. So I've won a game, won a few games because I had just a couple Sentinels, like they just add up.
Oh, yeah, they definitely do. All right. Our favorite one, we already talked about this boy, Shocker. two
S
costs,
tier.
2 costs, 3 power, no thing. He's got his own. He's got the Shocker tier. It's right above us.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong. They make you get rid of them. Here's the reason I Misty Knight's better. She cost 1. So um yeah, we're gonna go to Spectrum. 6 cost, 4 power. On reveal, give +2 power to your ongoing cards. Uh so I've talked about this numerous times. Um I would say this is second best deck. I'd say the Kazar deck is the best one. Spectrum is second. And I think it's top A. I think she's very powerful, but just missing the S tier because she doesn't fit into that one deck that I think that deck's just better because R1. So
Yeah,
simple enough.
she's a A tier for me.
Yeah.
Not top of A, but she's A tier.
It's sad because I don't think there's enough ongoing cards to really make her like shine like crazy, but it's definitely pretty good. Spider Woman, I just put her in A. Getting mixed up. So Spider Woman is 4 cost, 4 power, and on reveal, afflict all enemy cards here with -1 power. So if the location is filled, it's essentially a 4 cost, 8 power card. I actually have a newfound love for this card. I played it a little bit back in the day in Pool 1, and I just started to now really enjoy it. So I do think it's powerful, but I don't think it's like insane. I don't know. What are your thoughts now? How have you been using it?
Yeah, I think Spider Woman is my top of A tier card
Oh, okay.
because you easily get the value out of the card, and uh, not necessarily all the value because it is a 4 cost, so you have to think about what you're going to do turn 5, 6. But you can easily get the value out of this card, and it messes with your opponent's head, messes with their cards, gets you 4 power. Like well, more than 4 power technically.
Yeah,
So it's a W.
yeah. I love it. I'll agree. Maybe not like top. I think Spectrum just edges it out because of like I said, I feel like the ongoing thing. But a cool combo, honestly, Spider Woman and Odin. I really like that as well. So next
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about Squirrel Girl. 1 cost, 1 power. Add a 1 power squirrel to each other location. The squirrels do not have any text. I mean, technically, you're getting 3 power for 1 cost. Technically, this card is not bad, but now I've been talking some big game about 1 drops, right? I'm talking big game, and this gives you 3 1 cost cards for the cost of 1 card. There's a lot of 1 cost 1 card ones I just said in there. This card sucks.
yeah. Counterpoint: she fills up 3 locations
Yeah.
for the cost of 1
I still don't know. I still see people play this card. I don't understand it.
all the time,
It's
all
got to
the
be one of
time.
the worst cards. I like
Yeah,
easily D.
I when I first made my destruction deck, I put Squirrel Girl in there because I was like, "Ooh, big brain." You throw Squirrel Girl
I did the
down,
same thing. I just want to let you
and
know.
then Carnage eats her up, and you get more power.
The only
Or
time
you throw uh Death Guy, whatever the heck his name is,
Deathlock or something.
Deathlock down, and you just clear out the squirrel anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And I played it a couple games, and I was like, "This is terrible. I never want to use Squirrel Girl again." So she's a D tier.
So the only thing I feel like Squirrel Girl has any positive part to, and this is something you can't have any control over. It's if you get a location that says you can't add cards to this location, then you can't play cards to this location, right?
Right.
Then you play Squirrel Girl and you get that 1 card there. That could be the difference of you winning that game. But I'd rather play Claw or
Yeah.
Mr. Fantastic or anything. So yeah, it's a dumpster trash card.
And here's another little fun fact tangent for the people still watching this really long, fun, extremely fun video. Is pay attention to the wording of the location and the cards. I'm sure if you're a card game guy, you know this, but there are locations that say you cannot move here. There's locations that say you cannot play here. There's locations that say, um, uh, you
Then
know,
there's stuff like
small
Professor
small
X,
adjust. Yeah,
right? Like Professor X, the first time I ever played Professor X, my like big brain play was drop Professor X, move Nightcrawler over there to give me like it's like or something
yeah.
stupid like that, right? I'm like, oh man, I got this. This is golden. And then it was like turn 6, and I'm trying to move it, and I'm like, wait.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, enough rant, Squirrel Girl. Star Lord, 2 cost, 2 power. And on reveal, if your opponent played a card here, just like all the other Guardian cards, this one you get plus 3 power. So I know you like brought this up a few times. You said that they're all equal. Star Lord, I think, is one of the weakest ones, and the reason is because he is basically just Rocket Raccoon, and if you guess correctly, you get plus 1 power.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, I would honestly say he's like, okay, all of the Guardian cards got significantly better with Daredevil. So if you bought the season pass in it, I would say if you're now it's probably a little too late being that we're like middle of the month, but if you are liking the game, I would say Daredevil is a pretty good card. Like at first I wasn't sure, and I'm pretty sold on him. But
Yeah. And the ability is pretty cool as well. Like it kind of turns your screen
yeah.
red. You do have to wait for your opponent to play their deck. Sometimes it can go a little long,
Mm.
but
All right. So I think I'm gonna say Star Lord's bottom B. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna give him a
yeah.
little bit more respect than C. So I just want to let you know. I realized we missed another card. Gamora is not here. Gamora would also be like bottom of B.
Right next to Star Lord.
Yeah. So 5 cost, 6 power, and I believe she is that right? 5 cost,
She
6
gets
power. I guess plus 4.
Yeah, she gets +4.
Yes. So essentially, she's just a straight up. I believe she's just straight up worse than Jessica Jones, because Jessica Jones you can guarantee get the 10, where Gamora you're kind of just like, all right, taking the gamble, and unless you play
Right.
double.
There's a gamble there. It's whenever you get to Gamora, it's kind of much less of a gamble than Star Lord if you're playing him like in order.
Yep.
Uh or like Groot, because Gamora, turn 5, maybe turn 6 if you're waiting.
Mm,
Like it's pretty easy to predict where they're going. Sometimes they even have locations full, so instead of a 33%, it's a 50%. Like there's some numbers you can play with there, but
yeah.
it is pretty risky when you could just slap down Jessica Jones and have a guaranteed 10.
Yeah. I'm disrespecting Star Lord. I put him in C. I'm
There
thinking
you
about
go.
it. There, it's not. It's significantly worse than the other ones, though, which is sad because I actually had the pixelated version of the card too. All right, we're getting down to the final rally here of this extremely long video. I'm so sorry. I didn't expect this to be this long. Strong guy, 4 cost, 4 power, ongoing if your hand is empty, plus 6 power. This actually got nerfed. It used to be a 2 cost, 3 power, which was insane. And he was able to fit into the very like aggressively statted deck, like where it's just 1, 2, and threes, because you just emptied your hand. Um, and now I feel like he's worse. He's like definitely worse. I feel like he's almost niche. I haven't played him pretty much since he got nerfed. I'd say
Yep.
C.
He's my second to last B tier card because
Yeah,
yeah, you're trying to go for emptying your hand at the end, but if you're gonna play strong guy, you probably should build a deck
build one
around
around
that.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, so the only guy that's worse than him is Craven for me. So
The thing I'm
as far
looking
as
at
B tier
is
goes,
so especially pool one, America Chavez. It's like if you have another card in your hand and then you draw America Chavez, you're guaranteeing you're not getting the effect off Strong Guy. So if you emptied your hand on turn 5 and then turn 6 you have America Chavez, then you'll have the effect off. But I don't like taking that gamble. So
nope.
next, Swordmaster, 3 cost, 6 power. I think this card got a buff. It used to be a 4 cost, 7 power, but now it's 3 cost, 6 power. With on reveal, discard a card from your hand. I think this is a great card. So I was playing recently a deck that had the highest card at 3, and this was one of them because 3 cost 6 power is pretty good, and the discarding at the end, discarding a card from your hand on turn 6 is not a downside.
It's a really good point to play him at the very end.
Yeah, so I like to play him. You play him in like Wolfsbane, right? Turn 6. You got two really, I'd say, pretty strong cards coming down. Only 3 power difference from American Chavez, and you're able to put it at 2 locations. So yeah, I'd say he's like top of B, maybe A.
Yeah, I put him bottom of C, but I've been convinced he's at least a B
Yeah,
in
I
the
would
right
say a B. I
situation.
think a B is pretty fair. The thing, 4 cost 6 power, no text. This is just the baseline. We know where they go.
Boom.
Right at the
Yeah.
bottom. All right. Uatu, 1 cost, 2 power. I think that's how you name Uatu the Watcher.
Yep.
Once this is in your hand, you can see the unrevealed location. So I'm curious what you say because my buddy, he plays this card. He says he likes this better than Rocket because it's either just a 1/2 or maybe you get like an advantage for seeing the locations. I said, here's the thing: if you don't draw this on turn 1, on turn 2 you're only getting the knowledge of knowing one location, and then after that it just becomes Misty Night. So I think the card's like basically dumpster trash.
Yeah, I don't think it's trash. I put him in B tier because he has utility above Misty Knight. So probably a C tier. But when you get him, by the way, he only has to be in your hand. You don't have to play him to get his ability.
Yes.
So uh, it's really nice to see the locations ahead of time. But like you said, it's a random chance to get it. But even if the random chance fails, it's a basic one card.
Yeah.
So
My big thing is you are it's not like it has like so Rocket has kind of the same thing. The thing is you could play Rocket from turn 1 to turn 6 and have a chance for the ability to go off. This you're on a literal countdown until it turns into Misty Night. So uh the absolute best I can give this card is a C. Like the absolute best. I've kind of given up on ordering them, like I said. So
no, you could.
all right, winding down. 4 cost, 6 power, White Queen. On reveal, draw a copy of the highest cost card in your opponent's hand. It used to read, so it actually got buffed. It used to read, draw a copy of a 6 cost card in your opponent's hand. But if they didn't have a 6 cost card, you drew nothing.
That's super
So,
specific.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think the card's actually pretty good now. With
Yep.
with the change, I mean, it's just the thing with a literal upside, and you know, the body's decent. It's not like something I like love to play, but
I thought you were talking about the the
oh,
art. Like she's got a tight body. Like
jeez, no, the body isn't like the 4 cost 6 power. It's a decent body, and then you're also getting a benefit of getting a copy of their strongest card. So it also gives you knowledge of what's in their hand, which I think is better than actually drawing a card from their deck, because now you could be like, okay,
Mhm.
next turn, say if they have a 5 cost or a 6 cost, you're like, okay, next turn they're playing something, and then the final turn they're dropping the Hulk, and I can counter it with a Hulk of my own as well. So
Yep.
I would say it's a B at least. You know,
Yeah. I put it close to the bottom of A tier, just because the information is useful and she's she's going to get you another card, and
Yep.
for pool one, we pool one boys like that.
All right, White Tiger, 5 cost, 1 power. On reveal, add a tiger, a white tiger maybe? I don't know. Add a tiger to one of the locations, one of the other locations.
Hmm.
And it's a 7 power card that adds. So basically you get an 8 power for 5, but pretty useful, obviously, like we talked about Odin. And the other big thing too is if an opponent has locked down a location somehow, like the main one I think of is Storm. So you might not know what Storm does, but Storm basically floods a location, so it gives you one more turn to play card there, and then that's it. Then you can't play cards there for the rest of the game. And but you can move cards there, and you can add cards there. So White Tiger is a way to actually steal that. Um, I think she's pretty mediocre, like B. Um, I think she only is really super useful because of Odin, but
Yeah, I maybe did a goof, but I put her right next to Odin in A tier because those two cards, in my mind, have to be together.
no, I
You
think
can.
I don't
Go
think
ahead.
you're wrong. Um, I think I think she's a B just because Odin is more versatile. That's the reason. You could play Odin without White Tiger, but you can't play White Tiger without Odin. I feel like
Yeah,
you're.
I definitely agree with that.
That's what I would say. Like basically, if you're playing White Tiger, you have Odin in your deck. That's just where I'm gonna leave it at that.
Definitely agree with that.
Let's finish this up. We got 3 cards left. All right,
Ah,
maybe we missed something, but 3 cards. Wolfsbane, we already talked about this. 3 cost, 1 power. On reveal, gain +2 power for each other card at this location. So we've already mentioned that this basically ends up being a 3 cost 7 power if you have the location filled up, which is probably the best bang for your buck for a card. One of the best ones, I would say. Um,
we missed Colossus.
crap, Colossus too. All right, we'll talk about him. Son of a. How did I miss
when
him?
you said Cyclops, I thought Colossus, and
All
I
right,
was like,
we'll talk about Colossus too.
yeah. Anyways,
All right, Wolfsbane. I think this is an A card. I think it. I think it is very specific, but um, I think because of the way that you're kind of forced to play in pool one is more aggressive than heavy handed because there really is no synergy to a heavier handed deck other than doing like the Odin White Tiger combo stuff. But there's a lot of versatility between Bishop, Wolfsbane, Angela, and Swordmaster and the Khazar stuff. There's a lot of stuff that helps and benefits to the low cost cards, which is why I think we can give it an A.
yep, I put it in A as well.
All right, Wolverine is a 2 cost 3 power, and when this is discarded or destroyed, play it at a random location. So a lot of people play it with obviously Carnage, but
Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan.
if this card functioned like I thought it should, it would be a really good card. I think it's just a mid tier card because in my mind, if Wolverine is discarded or destroyed in any way, it should be randomly put onto the field uh, to be at a location, and that's not the case.
When isn't it the case? Because I I can't think of a way that it's not.
Yondu, if they pull
Oh, I
if they
gotcha.
pull Wolverine out of your deck, he's destroyed,
I gotcha. I
and
gotcha.
that's BS
I
to
do
me.
actually. That is honestly something I would say should be uh, changed. I think that interaction should be because like that's such a small chance for it to happen.
Yeah,
It
I've
definitely should.
I've I watch whenever cards are destroyed. I don't know if people do or not, but like I've watched that guy get cut in half like 3 4 times, and I'm like, oh well, bye.
Yeah, I wish that he maybe I wish he was a 2 cost 3 power, and he actually said something like give every time he's destroyed, give him +1 power or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, for sure. That would make a lot of sense because
Because as of right now, it's like he's just I get it, but it's like it's like all right. The one thing I don't like is some big name guys aren't getting the respect I feel like they deserve. Right?
yeah.
Like Wolverine isn't that good, and it's like why is uh why is Kazar, a guy I've literally never heard of, one of the best cards? I
Yeah, and
feel like
Kazar in the comic books is like a nobody.
yeah,
Like
like
he's
it
yeah.
should be like okay, and I don't have the card, so I don't know. But like Spider Man, Wolverine, you think like the real big ones, like the ones that people like. Yeah, I need Spider Man. I need Venom. I need like the guys who you know I love from the comics and movies and Marvel stuff that I watch. Like when
Mhm.
you're getting real niche, it's like a little I don't know, like who the hell is looking at Uatu and like, yeah, boy, this boy
I mean,
better.
I like it when the cards make sense for the characters' like abilities, right? So Uatu, pretty much spot on. I like what they did.
Yeah, yeah,
Wolverine, I think makes more sense if he gets stronger every time you try to strike him down, right? He gets angrier, he goes a little crazier, he gets a little stronger. That's
yeah.
fine.
Even
He
if
can't be killed.
honestly,
That makes sense.
if they wanted to make him a 2 cost 2 power with that ability of +1, because like maybe I don't know, I don't play him too much, but to me he seems completely balanced if he was a 2/3. And like, how many times are you destroying him and discarding him? Like once, maybe twice. So he at most he would be a 2 cost 5 power, which would basically be Lizard. Why is Lizard potentially better than Wolverine?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's that's
I
me.
don't want I don't want every major character to be like A or S tier. So like it's okay to for like Wolverine not to be
Yeah,
um S tier character, but like there's something missing in the
like I
card.
said, it's
Yeah.
the I think it's the flavor too. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
he could just be like he's bottom of B, I would say,
I
if
agree.
not possibly C. And I would say at minimum, I would like to see like the main guys be B at minimum. I want to see like Spider Man and Wolverine and whatnot be at least B.
Yeah. And then
And
you have to then you have to debate like what's a main guy, right? Like Star-Lord, is he a main guy? He was almost a nobody before the movies came out, you know?
I would
So
say it depends on. Okay, I think anybody would say Wolverine and Spider Man are probably the biggest names in Marvel. I would just guess. I can't think of like I'm not a big Marvel person. Um
yeah, I think Hulk is probably the well, Spider-Man's probably the most famous.
I think it's literally probably Spider-Man and Wolverine. And I think Hulk would be like maybe 3.
Hulk's
Um
Hulk's way up there for sure.
yeah.
And
Um
now you have Thor,
yeah,
which is
Thor
like
too.
fine.
So
Captain
anyways,
America,
we're getting on a rant.
the
We
Avengers.
really we
Let's
can't
finish
rant.
this last
Let's
card.
finish this. All right, Yandu, another Guardian, which is the only Guardian that does not have an honor reveal based on the location, right? So, um,
Well,
because
he's an well, technically Mantis is also a guardian,
yeah,
but they're not the standard guardians. Yandu is a guard like first generation guardian. Mantis is like a support guardian.
yeah, but it's weird that Mantis has if your opponent played a card of this location, but Yandu doesn't. Yandu's is just on reveal. It's discard a card, right?
Yeah, I
Kind of weird.
like Yandu's ability. It
Oh, I
makes
do
sense
too.
with his psychic arrow, and Mantis can read people's minds whenever she touches them. So like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think the flavor and stuff is really good. And I've mentioned I don't think that this ability is as good as Korg personally, but I think this goes into A because of uh it's just like I said, you're really pulling for any one like decent one drop, and it is a decent one drop. You know, it has some disruption. It's not as good as Korg, but it is pretty solid.
yeah, you've
So
convinced me on several cards. One of them definitely being Korg.
yeah,
The
I
chance of making them draw a rock is pretty good.
yeah, it's just a better version of it. That's all. So it's like literally like actual disruption versus like an illusionary disruption that like Yandu has. Like, oh, I just destroyed this card, and it's like, well, think of that as like being at the bottom of their deck. So unless you made them draw every single one of their cards, it basically had no effect because they weren't going to draw that card no matter what.
Yeah.
So and then
So Yandu is very powerful
mm,
if you play him on round 5, because people playing America Chavez just
yes.
lost their 6 cost.
Yep, yeah.
So
There it's definitely a pretty high chance that you destroy that one. So and the final one, I guess, I'm sure I missed something else because somehow I missed like some of my favorite cards. Colossus, another one that honestly I have really gained a lot of love for. 2 cost, 3 power, and its ongoing ability is this card can't be moved, can't be destroyed, and it can't have its power reduced.
yep.
So it was buffed because before it could have its power reduced. But
Mm.
it the one thing that I don't like about this interaction is I read it. It's kind of similarly to Yandu and Wolverine, but there's a card called Scorpion that you get later on. 2 cost, 2 power, and on reveal, give -1 power to cards in your opponent's hand. Right? You would think that this wouldn't affect Colossus, but it does.
Oh.
So I feel like that's another one where they should fix that. Um, I'm honestly thinking about going onto their Discord and writing these up as little suggestions.
No,
Um,
100%.
I think I'm gonna do
I
that tonight after this. But Colossus, I would probably put right around middle of the road B.
Yeah, Colossus is one of those like core B cards for me where if I'm not building like a niche deck and need a space filled, he gets put in there like first draw, because there are so many locations and cards and combinations that can screw over other cards. It's so nice to be able to throw him down when Jotunheim is the place that's just gonna like subtract 1 power from every card, and you're just like, I'm gonna win with this one guy,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
So
big fan of him.
I'm gonna try to be next time. So thankfully, pool 2 is a little smaller, and
Yeah.
maybe we'll be a little quicker on this. But I'm gonna try to be a little more, I guess, thorough with my research. I did it pretty quick. Um, Not research, I guess, just double checking to make sure I have all the cards up. But that was pretty fun. So hopefully it wasn't too long for you guys. It was I gotta do a little editing. I'll try to chop it down as much as I can, but honestly it's probably gonna go up pretty much raw because it is gonna be about 2 hours or so. I'm thinking.
That's not bad. They just put it in your ears and
Yeah,
listen
yeah,
on their
exactly.
on their
A little podcast for you guys. So anyways, if you like this, you want to see more like this, like, comment, subscribe, and check out our podcast, Envision Gaming. The Envision Gaming podcast, we do that every other week on Mondays. We post them. So yeah, you could find that on YouTube, and we're probably gonna start posting on Spotify as well. So just do a little search for that, and yeah, that's gonna be all. Catch you guys later.